What was your near-death experience that changed your life? My name is Aris, and for most of my 38 years, I believed consciousness was a flicker, a brilliant, personal flame that snuffed out into nothing. I was a structural engineer. My world was tensile strength, load-bearing calculations, and the clean, honest logic of physics. Faith was an architectural flaw, a design without a blueprint. My life was bridges, specifically, the one I was building over Willow Creek Gorge, a sweeping, elegant arc of steel and concrete meant to replace a crumbling old span. The accident happened on a Tuesday in March. We were ahead of schedule. A cold front had swept through, leaving the gorge slick with a thin, invisible glaze of black ice on the construction walkways. I was doing a final inspection of the main support pylons with a junior engineer, Sam. I remember pointing out a weld seam, taking a step back for a better view, and then my boot found the ice. There was no dramatic stumble, just an instantaneous, physics-governed loss of traction. I slid off the walkway. I didn't fall straight down, I bounced off a crossbeam first, a blow that drove the air from my lungs in a painful whoosh, and then I was in freefall, the gray sky and the skeletal bridge frame cartwheeling above me. The last thing I heard was Sam's scream, shredded by the wind. The last thing I felt was not fear, but a profound, insulting surprise. This? Really? Then, impact. A deep, silencing crunch that was less a sound and more the end of all sensation. What came next was an unsnuffing. The pain, the cold, the roar of the creek far below, it all vanished. I was simply aware, but I wasn't in the gorge. I was standing on the old Willow Creek Bridge, the one my new construction was meant to replace. Yet it was transformed. The rusted railings were gone. The asphalt was now a path of smooth, warm stone that gleamed as if lit from within. The creek below wasn't the churning, frothy torrent I knew, but a river of liquid light, silent and deep, flowing through a gorge now lush with impossible colors, silver-leafed trees and flowers that pulsed with a gentle, internal luminescence. A profound peace settled into me, a peace so complete it felt like my true nature. I looked down at my hands. They were whole, unbroken. I felt stronger and more clear-minded than I ever had in life. The chronic tightness in my shoulder from old rugby injuries was gone. I was just optimal. Then, I wasn't alone. Walking towards me from the far side of the bridge were 3 figures. My breath caught. There was my grandmother, Eleanor, who had died when I was 10. She wasn't the frail woman from her sickbed, but vibrant, her eyes sparkling with the mischief I remembered. Beside her was my best friend from college, Leo, who had been killed by a drunk driver. He wore his familiar, lopsided grin, and with them was a professor, Dr. Chen, my sternest mentor, who had passed 2 years prior. They radiated a warmth that wasn't physical, but emotional, a pure, unconditional love that felt like a homecoming. No one spoke with mouths, but communication flowed. Aris, my grandmother's thought voice came, full of delight. You're just in time for the review. Review? I thought back, the concept feeling natural. The project, Dr. Chen's mental voice was calm, insightful, but without any of its former sternness. Your life's work. As he spoke, the gorge around us transformed again. Now, spanning the river of light next to the stone bridge was a structure made of moments. Beams of laughter with my sister, cables of struggle during exams, pylons of grief when Leo died, decking made of small kindnesses I'd given and received. It was a chaotic, beautiful, interconnected structure, the bridge of my life. I saw it all at once, from beginning to this sudden end. I felt every emotion again, but from a place of complete safety and understanding. I saw the times I'd been compassionate, and the times I'd been selfish. There was no judgment from my companions, only a shared, compassionate witnessing. The purpose wasn't to condemn, but to comprehend. Then, a light appeared at the end of the stone bridge. It didn't emerge, it simply was, as if it had always been there and I was only now able to perceive it. It was not a shape, but a presence, the source of all the warmth, love, and profound intelligence in this place. It felt like the answer to every question I'd never thought to ask. It enveloped me, and in that instant, I understood things that defy language. The interconnectedness of all consciousness, the purpose of love as a fundamental force, the idea that we are here to learn, to grow, to build. A question emanated from the light, not in words, but as a direct knowing. Will you cross? Yes. My entire being shouted it. I wanted to merge with that light, to stay in this love, to understand more. I took a step forward, but Leo moved gently into my path. His smile was tender, but firm. Your bridge isn't finished, mate. I looked back. The stone bridge I stood on was complete, but the chaotic, beautiful structure of my life, it simply stopped, trailing off into raw, unmade potential about halfway across the gorge. The design isn't fully realized, Dr. Chen said, his tone that of a teacher who has absolute faith in his students' unfinished work. My grandmother reached out, and though she didn't touch me, I felt a wave of love so fierce it was almost sorrowful. There are more connections to make, more weight to bear, more of the path to build. A longing, desperate and huge, rose in me. I pleaded towards the light. Let me stay, please. The light responded with a wave of love so immense it encompassed my longing and my purpose. The message was clear. It was not a dismissal, but a commissioning. The bliss began to recede, not into darkness, but into a soft, glowing distance. The stone bridge, my loved ones, the river of light, they faded like the most beautiful dream upon waking. I returned to agony, a cacophony of pain, searing in my leg, crushing in my chest, a screaming headache. I was trapped in a mangled cage of construction debris, halfway down the gorge, caught in a tangle of steel rebar. Rain was falling. I could hear the roar of Willow Creek again, and voices shouting far above. Sam's voice, frantic on a radio. I think I see him. He's moving. I had been dead for over 7 minutes. The fall had broken my back, my leg, 6 ribs. I had drowned in the creek, my lungs filled with water, before the rescue team managed to extract me and restart my heart. The physical recovery was a brutal lesson in limits. Metal held my spine together. I learned to walk again. But the harder rehabilitation was for my mind. I was a stranger in my own life. The world seemed dim, loud, and hollow. I grieved for the bridge of light with a depth that made my physical pain feel trivial. I quit my job. I couldn't look at a blueprint without seeing the ghost of that other, greater structure. For a year, I drifted. Then, one afternoon, I found myself driving to the new Willow Creek Bridge, the one I'd built. It was open to traffic, a testament to my old logic. I walked to the center of the span, leaning on my cane, and looked down at the churning water below. And for the first time, I didn't see the site of my death. I saw the place of my reassignment. I didn't return to high-rise or bridge design. I started a small, nonprofit firm. We design accessible spaces, parks, community centers, libraries. My specialty is the connections, the ramps, the paths, the benches that invite conversation, the clear sightlines that foster safety and community. I no longer build to conquer geography, but to connect people. Every time I see a project through, I hear Leo's voice. Your bridge isn't finished. I understand now. The bridge isn't the one that leads to the light. It is the light, made manifest here, in stone and steel and kindness. Every accessible ramp is a plank. Every safe courtyard is a pier. Every moment I spend listening, really listening, to a client or a community member, is a strengthening cable. I still visit Willow Creek. I feel a pull to it, not of trauma, but of remembrance. The gorge is just a gorge again. The bridge is just a bridge. But sometimes, when the light is just right, slanting golden through the trees at dusk, I catch a glimpse. Not of another world, but of the truth within this one. That we are all builders, here to span the gaps for each other, one compassionate connection at a time. My construction is ongoing, and I am no longer in a hurry for it to be complete.
Like and subscribe Untamed Tales for more stories.